Hey guys, one of the questions I get a lot from clients and members of Avatar Nutrition is, should I track calories or macros? And the answer is, if you are tracking your macros, you're tracking calories by default, okay? Calories are units of energy, all right? And each different macronutrient has a different caloric value. So protein and carbohydrate have 4 calories per gram. Fat has 9 calories per gram. So if you're tracking all of your macros, by default, you are controlling and tracking calories, and you can determine your calories from how many macros you are consuming. Now, where this gets a little bit dicey is people will say, well, I'm tracking in, say, MyFitnessPal or my Macros Plus. Why do the calories, when I add them up for my macros, when I multiply fat by 9, carbs and protein by 4, why do they not add up to the calories that are listed on the food label? And why do they not add up at the end of the day? And the reason is due to rounding errors, okay? So first off, you have to understand those numbers on food labels are not that precise. There's about a 10 to 20% inherent error in any food label. So if it says 10 grams of fat, it could be 8 or 9, it could be 11 or 12. Now, they're trying to get it as close as they can in terms of what the median is, because keep in mind, every single chicken breast that is cut is not going to have the exact same amount of fat. You might have one chicken that's a little bit fattier than another, even though they're fed the same way. So those numbers are all estimations, all right? But with regards to specifically calories versus macros, the USDA allows rounding of calories for below 50 calories, you can round to the nearest 5 calorie increment. Above 50 calories, you can round to the nearest 10 calorie increment. So you could have something that the macros add up to, say, 152 calories, and they round it to 150. Or something that's 148 calories, and they round it to 140 because it's a 10 calorie increment. So the macros may not add up. The calories from macros may not add up when you multiply it out. So I tell people, don't worry about tracking your calories, worry about tracking your macros, because that is going to be more precise because there's no rounding in those numbers. Calories is rounding, and so that may not seem like much. Oh, the nearest 5 or 10 calorie increment, that's not that much. How could it produce that big of a difference? Well, keep in mind that's on one food item. And a lot of times you'll have 3, 4 food items in a meal. And if you're having 4 or 5 meals throughout the day, that could add up to 15, 20 different food items that are off by a few calories. You could be well over 100 calorie difference. So it's very important to keep in mind that don't stress out about tracking calories. Again, if you're tracking macros, you're tracking calories by default. Now, where this can get a little bit dicey is when you add in another energy source that isn't protein, carbs, or fats, such as alcohol, okay? Alcohol is 7 calories per gram. That's different than carb, that's different than fat. And if you're tracking your protein, carb, and fat, what you'll need to do is you got to find some place to put those calories from alcohol. So what I tell people is you can track them as carbohydrate or you can track them as fat, because alcohol is going to eventually break down into acetyl-CoA. And acetyl-CoA is the same end product that you get from fat metabolism. But metabolically, alcohol acts a little bit more like a carb in that it inhibits lipolysis. So I think it's okay to track it as either. You could track it all as fat or all as carb, or you could do a blend of the two. For an example, if you have a 100 calorie alcohol drink, that would be about 11 grams of fat or 25 grams of carbs, or you could do 6 grams of fat and 15 grams of carbs. So there's a lot of different ways you can break it down, but the biggest thing is to make sure you take it from your carb or fat allotment and not from protein. But at the end of the day, try not to stress too much about tracking your calories, because if you're tracking macros, you are tracking calories by default. If you get too caught up in trying to make the two match, you're just going to confuse yourself. So don't track calories, just track macros. If you're tracking macros, you're tracking calories by default. All right, guys, hope this video has been helpful, and I'll catch you next time.